Good morning. Can you imagine your neighbor's shock when you start building a boat the size of 1.5 football fields, 3 stories high? Now keep in mind, it's a time when you've never seen rain. Well, you're right. We are going to talk about Noah. We know the story so well, we've learned about it in Sunday school. But there's a few things that we want to look in today. First of all, why did Noah had to build an ark? Why Noah? Why the whole story of the ark? What do we learn from this story? The time that the ark was built was not a good time on earth. And when we look at the news at the moment and we follow the newspapers, we can relate that we are at the moment in bad times. So are we living in the same times now that Noah did? And is there a lesson that Noah's people had to learn that we can learn from them and maybe save ourselves a lot of pain? We're going to go into Genesis 6 to see what it was like. And it said that in Genesis 6 in verse 5 that the people were consistently and totally evil. Not now and again, not sometimes, consistently they were evil. And that the earth had become so corrupt in God's sight and was filled with violence, just like today. And then the very sad bit, the bit that really get to me when we read in verse 6. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him to his heart. That is so sad, because God made us for his joy, because he loves us and he wants us to worship him. So, what is the solution? Well, you know, God is a God of judgment, but he's a God of love. And how is he going to solve this problem? We read in verse 7 that the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Now you would think, how can I love a God that is going to destroy that? But God cannot tolerate sin. And the judgment against sin is death. And this is now where it gets so good, because it says in verse 8, But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So we don't look at the flood as a sad thing, but we look at it a good thing, because if it wasn't for Noah, if it wasn't for the flood, you and I wouldn't even have been here. The Lord would have just destroyed everything. But because of the grace that Noah found in Lord's eyes, we were saved. Noah was saved. So why? Because Noah was a righteous man. We read that in verse 9. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. So why was Noah a righteous man? Because he was perfect in that he was just. Not perfect in what he is doing. None of us are perfect. Even when we accept the Lord, we are not perfect. And the Lord doesn't expect us to be perfect, but that we walk with God. Noah had that close relationship with the Lord. He was talking to the Lord. The Lord told him exactly how to build the ark, how big to build the ark, what he had to put into the ark. The Lord told him that he was going to destroy the earth. Now, everybody around Noah, did they pay attention, or was he just an awkward neighbor? What did his children think of this thing his dad is building? Did they help him? What did the in-laws think? Everybody laughing and mocking Noah. We sometimes find as Christians that we try to blend into the world because we don't want to stand out. We're almost embarrassed that we love the Lord because people think we're awkward. They laugh at us. They think that we're just weird. And when we try to tell them about the Lord, they don't pay attention. They're ignorant. They're arrogant. They're full of pride. A lady told me the other day that there's no such thing as hell, and that if she does have to go to hell, she hopes it's going to be a big party. That is ignorance. The Bible is so clear on it that we have only a short time. Now, Noah's neighbors laughed at him until the day the rain came. Who was saved and why were they saved? Well, because of Noah being a righteous man, walking with the Lord, having that relationship with God, his family was saved. The ark was big enough for Noah and his 3 sons and their wives. Nobody else, which we can assume the rest was not righteous in the eyes of the Lord. So Noah was just man, perfect in his generation, and he walked with God. Whether his sons did the same, we don't know. So that gives us, as parents, when our children are not walking with the Lord yet, that hope that we can pray for them, and because of our faith in the Lord and our prayers, that the Lord will be merciful to our children and will eventually make them turn to Him. The New Living Translation says the only blameless man living on the earth on the time. So the earth was pretty bad. Thank goodness for the church now that it's not as bad now as it was then. So a close relationship, an intimate relationship with the Lord is just so important. And is it still valid for us in the New Testament? Yes, we read in Hebrews 11 verse 7. By faith Noah, being warned of God, of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. So how was Noah saved? By faith. How are we saved? By faith. The Lord graciously gave us a new life, but we have to receive it. We have to accept it, and that we do by faith. So, first of all, we have to obey God. Noah listened to the Lord, even though it took him 100 years to build the ark. A lot of people must have laughed at him, told him that what he was doing was just silly. Noah didn't pay attention to them. He listened to the Lord. His fear was with the Lord, not the people around him. He wasn't quite sure how this flood is going to be, but he trusted the Lord. Then, once the ark was finished, he didn't know how long it was going to take. Noah had no idea how long the rain was going to be. He trusted the Lord. He didn't ask the Lord, how are you going to steer this boat? There's no rudder. There's no steering control. Maybe he didn't know how to ask all these things. It didn't exist yet. You and I sometimes want to know too much from the Lord. How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And then when it doesn't happen immediately, we throw our toys and we get very disappointed and disillusioned. Noah trusted the Lord all the way. Once he was shut in, the Lord was in full control of steering the ark. Noah followed what the Lord told him to do, and that is what you and I should do. When we're in the ark, we see the same with baby Moses. When he was put in the basket, he was just floating. He was a baby. But there was no control. In the ark, they had no control. So you and I are now in Jesus. He's our ark. He's our new covenant. So we have to trust that wherever He takes us is the right place that we will end up, and not ask too many questions. The Lord shut him in. The Lord was in control. There was enough provision for him and his family. The Lord told him how many animals should be there for sacrifice, enough for food for him and the animals. And that is another thing for the people that is all worried about the climate change. God is in control. He knew exactly what He was doing. He knows how long the earth is going to last. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, we have to be good stewards of it. But there are certain things in nature that will happen whether you like it or not. As long as you wake up in the morning and it's day and evening and we have the seasons, we know God is still in control and all is good. So for 40 days and 40 nights they were in the boat. Then they had to wait for the boat to go on dry ground. The wind then came to dry the land so that eventually they could get out of the boat. So even after the flood, they were in that boat, in that ark for almost a year. Now, surely they had their tough days, and Mrs. Noah probably now and again complained about the smell, and they all cramped up together. But the Lord provided for them. The Lord saved them, and for that they were grateful. So you see, Noah was spared by the grace of God, and we read in 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7, For we walk by faith, not by sight. Let that be a lesson for all of us. Walk by faith, not by sight, because if we look around us, it doesn't always look so good. In 2 Peter 2 verse 5 we read that, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. So it is again mentioned in the New Testament. So I think that we should pay attention to the lessons from Noah. So in the Psalms, David writes, many are the sorrows of the wicked, but steadfast love surrounds the one who trusts in the Lord. So there's going to be many sorrows in the wicked, but the one who trusts in the Lord are the ones who will stand fast. So, what is my message for you? Don't wait till it is too late. Be that awkward neighbour. Don't worry what the world say. But if you're not there, if you are the one judging the awkward neighbour, I want to invite you that today is the day that you have to make that decision, that maybe the time has come for you to turn to God. Why? Because the Lord gave us a promise that the earth will never again be destroyed by water. That is why we have the beautiful rainbow, which sadly the world is making a mockery of. But the Lord makes it also very clear that at the end of the world there will become a drastic end, and that will be by fire, not by water. So there will become a day when it is too late. So now is the time that you should turn your life to the Lord, that you say, Lord, I trust you. I give my life to you. Because you see, God is love, and that is what is so wonderful. We read in Romans 2 verse 8, but for those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, there will be wrath and fury. So that's a promise. And if God kept his promise with the people in Noah's time, he will surely keep his promise for now. Don't be prideful. Don't be arrogant. Don't think you know it all. The Bible has survived all these years. Many, over 3,000 prophecies has come true. Turn to the Lord today. Don't wait. Thank you for watching. Please follow us on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up. The ministry needs you. If there's someone that could benefit from this message, please send it to them. Please pray with me. Dear Lord, I pray that you will open the hearts of my brothers and sisters, that if they haven't fully committed to you, that today they will make that decision to know that you are love, but that you also are a God of judgment, and that you will always keep your promises. And whatever you promise then is still valid for us for today and will be for tomorrow. Thank you that we know that you love us so much, that you are patient, Lord, and that you will work with us and will meet us wherever you are. We don't have to reach for you, just hold out our hands, but you will come and reach for us. Thank you that Jesus Christ died on the cross for us, and therefore, if you would pray with me, Lord, I accept you. I accept that Jesus Christ died on the cross for me so that I can have a new life in you. Amen.